Okay, so by now I think you're probably fairly au fait. That's French for I don't know, with the idea that these videos are kind of about a specific amp on the Helix, and today I wanted to talk about the Cartographer. Now this will by default come paired up with the 4x12 Uber V30, so let's, well, I'll just show you the default settings actually first, and it sounds like this. Okay, so this amp is based on Ben Adrian, who is lead sound designer at Line 6. He's the guy who kind of creates a lot of the models, deals with the real amps and does all this cool stuff. He had a trainer amp which he used to mod as a person. He used to work on real amps, and this was the amp that he used to kind of do tests on and stuff. It started off as a trainer. The name of this band was Cartographer, and that's why we have this. So it's basically a modded 2204 circuit. Apparently I'm going to pair it with a dual cab here. I'm going to use the ones because this is based on what he actually had, I think. It was the Uber, wasn't it? So we're going to go with the 57 dynamic and stick some reflections on, and then same again. Now, pairing this with different cabs, I'm going to imagine is going to make a huge difference. So as I say, it's like a modded Marshall type circuit. There are lots of those. Soldano, the dual rectifier, I think is 2204 based. Splawn did all of their stuff. Anyway, so we could think about this as another Marshall. We've got two drive channels, bass, mid, treble, master, presence and depth, 2.5, 2.5, and then also really importantly here, two bright switches. So you know, in the Plexi on the Line 6 you don't have a bright cap or a bright switch, so the Cartographer might be a good shout for you guys if you're wanting that. So here's how this sounds with everything on basically 5 except for the presence and the depth. Okay, that's very clean. So turns out you can get incredibly clean if you want to. And then we got what, drive, two drives. Take that back down to 5. Take this one up to 10. So interesting, we got just basically two drive channels, and we can be as clean as you like. And if I was going to be that clean, I'd probably take up the channel volume. And I might also then chuck on a bright switch or two. Oh, well, that's quite pleasant. So I'm going to turn up the depth a little bit. So this is going to be like the lower end. Basically like the low end kick of the amp. And then presence you'll be familiar with, that's going to do other obvious things. So drive at 5 on both basically gets you this clean tone. So I'm going to save that. And then let's kind of crank things up a bit. So maybe if we take both, do this in a separate snapshot. Both drives to kind of 7.5. See what happens. I'm going to imagine that's quite a bit more gain. So I'm going to take the channel volume down a bit. And I'm going to take that depth down for this. Okay, so that's an incredibly like raunchy, souped up Marshall kind of tone to me, but it's really touch responsive too. What I'm going to try and do is kind of show you some of the versatility of the amp, and I might have to use a couple of presets to do the intro and stuff, but let's just try and crank this thing. I think also what you'll find actually, so if we keep this at 7.5 for now, what I'm going to do is crank the master, because if it is a Marshall style amp, there's going to be a lot of power amp drive available here. Take channel volume down again. So this is the master kind of valve starting to get. You get more of that kind of sizzle, whether you take off the bright switch for that or not, I don't know. Alright, I might turn that one on for this. This middle preset then, or snapshot, is kind of the real hot-rodded gain sound that is possible with this thing. So you can get some really beautiful tones, I think, out of this. That super kind of high gain Marshall-ish thing. I think if you keep drive 2 as the one that's giving you higher gain, then it's a little bit less smushy, whereas if you use the drive 1, that's the one which I think loosens up the bottom end a little bit, whereas drive 2 keeps it a bit tighter, maybe. Okay, so what could we also do? The mids. I think are fairly important to the Marshall tone. If we get these up higher, or we could also try maxing the tone stack, see what that does, as this seems to be a thing on a Marshall. So, like, clearly, super capable amp model. So that would be kind of some starting points, I think. So if you want clean out of this amp, drive at 5, drive 1 and 2 at 5. I need to take that tone stack back down, actually, don't I, for these other bits of the preset. And then up to 7.5 on both, you start to get some of those kind of more crunchy tones. And then I think if you crank the master up a bit and maybe one or two of the drives, so either drive 1 or drive 2, you can start to get some really high gain. And then the kind of Marshall trick, I can't remember who does this, let me know in the comments, but it's a thing I've seen done with JCM 800s. Cranking that tone stack. I'll put together a little intro now, but those are just some quick ideas for tones. Obviously this depth can really make a big difference to how tight or not a tone is. So, you know, experiment with taking that to different places. I think 6.3 is like... But also the sag will make a huge difference. If you bring this in, you'll probably end up with a more tight... opens up and then closes up. Closes up as you take that sag even higher. I'll leave that at 5 for like a happy medium. But yeah, you can do a whole lot with this preset. And here's one preset that I made a long time ago, which was using this amp. So let me know if you want me to drop these presets into the folder, fix that, because that's no longer how I do things, but yeah. Feel free to like and subscribe if this was at all interesting to you. Thank you to Ben Adrian for putting this little amp together. I think it's one of the really coolest and most unique amps on the Helix. Obviously, no one else in real life has this amp, and I think that's kind of cool. Cheers.